Welcome to Dropping In, a podcast of storytelling and interviews with your host, Winter Olympian Mercedes Nickel.
Thank you so much for dropping in on episode 46. This is series 5, where we are digging deep into the shoulder season blues. What does that mean? Well, when it becomes fall, it gets dark in Canada, and a lot of us deal with seasonal depression or seasonal affective disorder. So we're going to dive into deep with some experts to find out how we can get some tools to make ourselves feel better. Let me introduce episode 46 guest that we will be dropping in with today. Now, this guest makes you feel like you belong wherever you are when you are around him. He started out as a minister. His passion for the mountains, alongside with his schooling in photography, brought him around the world. He's an award-winning action sports photographer. Living in Pemberton, British Columbia, he hosted a first Soul Atrium retreat. 13 guys going deep, surfing, breathing, rituals, meditation, movement, and deep exploration with new ways of being more fully human. I think that there's no better person to chat with about the shoulder season blues than our next guest. This husband, friend, father, minister, professional photographer, retreat leader knows a lot of tools that we can use to feel better. I'm pleased to introduce Chad Chomlack. Okay, Chad Chomlack, are you ready to drop in?
I am ready to drop in, Mercedes.
All right, rapid fire, here we go. If you could travel anywhere in the world right now, where would it be?
Nepal.
Ooh, because you talked about you went to Nepal in the podcast on Lawless.
Yeah.
When was the last time you went back there?
It's been like 10 years or so.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, cool. You'll notice that these rapid fires are never rapid. That's my own fault.
Okay, cool.
That's where you met your wife too, right?
We met in India, but yeah.
Okay.
And then we spent a bunch of time in all through that area, Afghanistan, Pakistan.
So cool.
Yeah, it was just the most enchanting place.
Nepal, never been, want to go. Number 2, what is your favorite season?
Oh, man, it's like so activity based. And I like, it's hard because I love golf just as much as I love snowboarding.
Same here.
So, but right now, I think still winter, because I just get to spend so much time with my boys.
Yes.
Yeah, in the winter. Gosh.
So lucky.
Yeah.
They can keep up now, can't they?
Just a little bit.
Number 3, big city or small town?
Small town.
Yeah. Not opposed to that. Number 4. Now, when people ask you how you are you honest?
Oh, no. No.
Same.
It depends. It's situational for sure. Like, some people don't have the privilege to know me that well, and some people do. I guess, like I'm careful with my goods, but so that I often like, yeah, I'm great. And then, inside,
like, I'm
what?
crumbling. No.
Yeah, I'm crumbling.
Totally.
I try to be as honest, but, then that opens up another, conversation, with the, whether or not I want to stay in the conversation.
100%.
Yeah.
All right. Number 5. This is a tough one because it's been going on forever. It feels like forever. How are you feeling about the global pandemic?
Ooh. I kind of just settled into sort of a place where, it feels right for me and my family and the things that we value. I think we're in an incredible time of opportunity, and I'm excited about that.
Oh my gosh, you're
and
so
of
positive.
Course, yeah, I mean, maybe ask me if I spend like, a solid day on newsreels and shit like that. It might be a totally different answer. So
totally fair. No,
but I try to keep on the part that, yeah, you know what, like, I mean, I just keep looking at history, and history is such a beautiful, if we don't have that connection to our history and as being just a species. We think this is new, or think, so it's like, it's not new. We've gone through stuff like this before, and my hope is that we continue to grow globally as a collective and love each other deeper. And
that's such a good outlook. Let's get less serious now with number 6. If you had a superpower, which one do you wish you had?
Easy. Now fly.
Yes.
100%.
Totally. Yeah. I feel you on that one. Yeah. Probably because we traveled so much.
Yes, I think so. I just am so into birds too.
Yes, they are something else. Okay, number 7. When you first think of the shoulder season, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Bored.
Boredom. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Or not snowboarding, but
yeah, just boredom.
Boredom. Okay, perfect.
And there's like Kevin and I were actually, the guy was out in the backcountry today with Sansalone. He was like, we were talking about how it's also like the point where we're like, I gotta get in shape. Like it's like this sort of like feeling like, oh man. And I know that the first week or two of like getting everything moving to get ready for being in the snow, it doesn't feel that great.
It sucks every year. It sucks. Every year. You're like, what happened to my legs? Where did they go?
Yes.
Why are they on fire?
Yes. Oh man.
Awesome. Okay. Number 8. Do you have a trick for the shoulder season blues?
I don't know. I don't know if it's a trick, but I definitely like, there's the practice of, to me, it's like if I do breathing, practice breath work, practice yoga, movement, or something like that. And I try to keep a really healthy habit of meditation. And I'm not saying that those are like the trick, but I definitely find myself, more in the present and settled in for sure.
Love that. Those are all great things to do that I wish I did more of.
Same.
Number 9. Do you take any supplements?
Yeah, I do. Do you want to know what they are?
I kind of do.
Okay. Okay. I wonder where I have it. I mean, I take like a vitamin D. I definitely take a vitamin D. I forget what it's called, but it's like, honestly, like a pill of sunshine. It's so good. And during the shoulder,
do you take that throughout the year or just during the?
I take it until about March.
Oh, okay.
From like now till about March, and then I have a vitamin E, a B, like a multi-vitamin B complex.
Yeah.
I do reishi and lion's mane.
Yeah.
What else? Another one for like immunity and inflammation.
I love it.
Turmeric or something like that. But I pretty much have I have my little pill box.
That's good. I need to get that. I need to get on that. I had Dr. Dom on and I have Dr. Chanel on, and they're giving us all the little tidbits from Creekside Health on what to take and how to take it. So cool.
It's good. Yeah.
Dom talks a lot about mushrooms, which I want the whole pill capsule. There's like 5 in 1, which sounds
they're really good. And then I'll do like a bit of microdose with a bit of like the psilocybin in there too.
So good for the brain.
It's so good. And I'll do it like for 3 months, and then I won't do it for 6, and then 3 months. But that is a real, especially going into the beginning of winter, I find that that's a beautiful medicine for sure.
Amazing. Okay. Yeah. Number 10, the last one. Do you get the seasonal blues?
Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Every year, once a year, twice a year?
I get it right about now. And part of it is like this mixture of anticipation for unknown things because of my work and different things like that. So the planning and the kind of angst that everybody in our industry kind of starts to go, okay, what are we doing? What are we doing? Am I going to get, for me, I'm like, am I going to get work? Am I going to, all these kind of things. And it's always great. And, it unfolds as it should be. But I do find myself, getting a bit like discouraged and what if, and like just kind of that sense of tired, like, gosh, this is a lot of work. And I don't, it's just this low grade kind of thing, and that changes when everything turns white for me. When we have snow down to the valley and it's robust, something shifts in me. It's just this in between, like rain and like the volatile stuff. It just kind of like makes it, oh, here we go. Yeah. And I'm a really big believer also that and I answer yes to the seasonal blues because I think it is a real deal, that many people struggle with, including myself. But there is this point where I kind of look at it as like, our seasons, like being human, seasons are really good indicators, and they lead you into, I know they lead me into more of this kind of primal response, of like, okay, the fall is here. Something in my body just decides to be like, okay, I need to, like, it's a process of letting go, letting things die, letting things kind of settle into the earth, as you see mirrored in creation around us, and so I find that that's a good thing just to kind of flow with and ask those questions of like, okay, like rather than resisting that and, the myth of being happy all the time, maybe it's a gift to allow us to let go of some of those deeper things that aren't really working or serving our lives anymore. And I try to like kind of keep on that path, because then it rather than like drown in the kind of like, I don't feel that great, or like, this is low, it's dark all the time, all the time.
I know.
It's like, okay, let me enter into it, but
yeah. So it is like a fine line, I find, of like just all out bursting into tears, not knowing what's next, and like this limbo, especially in the snowboard industry. It's like, where are you going to go? What's going to happen with the snow? Is it going to be a good year? Like all these questions. But I mean, it does relate to everyone else in life that has a career or any other industry that people are in, because like it's a transitional time.
Yeah.
And like even today, I escaped to Mexico. I should be happy and thriving. And today I was just like, what am I even doing? Like even in the sunshine, I'm still like, it's fall. It's here, and it's really settling in.
Yeah.
Man, it's so wild.
Those are good words.
I do love it because Dr. Chanel Smythe, she talks about how nature, like everything's slowing down. And you talked about nature, and I really appreciate that, because you kind of have to listen to nature and what it's doing. And that's something I'd never thought about before. I think it's so cool and so genuine and so grounding as well.
It is ground. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah. I'm definitely like experimenting more with it, because I think I think you said it bang on, is that, we, as just being human, we are constantly in a state of change and constantly in a state of transitions, and when these seasons are in place and we live in a place that really promotes the fact that everything's changing around us from season to season, there is almost this invitation to be like, okay, well, what needs to transition for you, and what needs to, just like the plants and the all the stuff that's, getting ready to bury under and have that deep growth during winter season. It's like, I'm down with trying to pay attention to that a little bit more in my own life, so it's cool.
It's crazy to open your eyes to that kind of thought of things, rather than like, oh, what was me? Let's just take some antidepressants. Like
which can help.
They totally. I have not taken them yet. I haven't made it that way. That's why also I'm doing the podcast, to help myself to get those like little tools to help me and see what I can do instead of that at some point in time. Let's talk about the retreat that you did, the first ever. You did that. Was it in September that you did it, or October?
October. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can you give us a little inside scoop as to what went on there?
Yeah, absolutely. We had like 13 guys. Like I've been really feeling strongly for the last while. And I come from kind of a background of, helping facilitate spaces for people that just either it's a celebration of life, or it's a wedding, or a kid coming of age, like a rite of passage, or teaching and all that kind of stuff, and bringing sort of some of these elements that I think have really worked in my own life, and I'm seeing it modeled in other people. And for me, I just saw a lack of spaces created for men, and where there's like, a dime. I mean, you can go join a retreat like any weekend, it's like there. and but there's not like just, I don't know, there wasn't a space really that was just, if it was kind of cokey or like weird, or I don't know, like
totally fair.
When I looked it up, I was kind of like, I wouldn't really hang out with that. Like, I want to go play, and I want to learn some things that I can apply to bring a deeper rhythm and rest in my own life, as well as bring along people on that journey, because people are hungry for it. And I know just from my pool of friends, of people around, they're like, yeah, like if I could carve out a time to just kind of go inward a bit, slow down, eat really well, maybe get challenged in my thinking, in the sense of the habitual ways that I live my life, and access that through modalities that really get us in tune with our bodies, and less about our heads and doing and accomplishing and performing, which I find that men can stay there. I know I'm just saying men, I should just say myself. Is like I could, you stay in this place where you're kind of your worth or your value or the way that you measure yourself in life and all that stuff is based on, the comparison of another, or how much money you have in your bank account, or how good your kids are, or how many friends you have, or whatever. Right. And there's not a lot of conversations around with men about like getting past that stuff, and it's almost like an act of remembering who you really are, like your essence of you, and so that's why it was called soul atrium, because soul is just a word. Please don't get hung up on that. It's not like this religious thing or anything like that. It's just, it's that deeper current, it's throughout history, soul was always, referred to as this, mysterious, deeper essence, I guess you could say, of a thing, so we'll often, like, I think of in snowboarding, let's say, I think of, Jamie Lynn, or Kazu or Terry, like there's a soul part of how they express themselves in the world through their art form, through snowboarding. I'm just using that as an example.
For sure.
But they have really tapped into that place. That's where they live from.
Yeah.
And often we haven't been trained, we haven't been showed, we haven't been really brought to a place of shared experience where we can begin to learn what that might look like to live that way, rather than this reactive sort of head-based, sort of doing orientated, competing, kind of thing for your place in the world, and maybe settling that noise down a bit so that you can hear that deeper part of yourself. And so we created a space in Tofino, and we ended up being about 15 of us, and it just was like magic, man. It was so great, and we used the modalities of breath work and movement, and our really good friend Bridget did an incredible, she's the best.
She's the best.
She's the best. And from the draw, like they had a kind of a women's retreat beforehand, but she led our movement, and we had a beautiful woman from Vancouver, from Oto Healing, and she did some sound like stuff with bowls and all this stuff.
That's kind of trippy sometimes, though. That can really bring things up.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then we had a breathwork person, Lauren, who is unbelievable also. And then I would just kind of weave these sort of rituals they would do, and things that they would go out and like learn to journal, and like kind of connect and integrate these parts of their life that they haven't really maybe paid attention to, and I have found helpful through my own life and through my own research and all that kind of stuff. So the outcome was like it was way better than I thought. Like
I believe it.
I was like, I thought it would be really good. Like I knew it would be beneficial and all that, and it would land for people at some level. But and then we got to, we're surfing every day and we're in the ocean. And so it's this whole rhythm of trying to create that space for people to encounter themselves again, because it kind of, and that, one way to do that and multiple ways to do that is through like focus, concentrated meditation, yoga movements that are slow, that get us back into our body, those kind of things that Bridget did. And then the breath work to me is probably one of the most key elements that I know I've seen benefits in my own life. And I've seen, now kind of leading and holding that space and being in there, seeing that process of releasing of energy, where we get stuck, like we get these parts that just kind of live and they're a bit sticky, and you kind of don't have a place to let them out, and if you look at an animal, walking through a wild animal walking through life, and if they're, let's say, going through a stressful time or they're being chased by a predator, that animal, if it gets away, it goes and it releases energy immediately. It intuitively, instinctively knows it needs to discharge what they just experienced. And we're no different.
We don't do that though.
And
we don't even know how to breathe properly.
Totally. So it was like really cool to like just have that space to, and then there was just deep conversation around that about people's experiences and all of that. And
I love that sharing part of it. The retreat, I did one in August, and that I think that sharing component is therapy in itself, because you're like, okay, I'm not totally crazy. Thank you.
And it's like, yes, totally. To be seen and to be heard is like the deepest need of the human heart. And so when, especially, with males too, and with everybody, like it's not a female male thing, but I know that we're not necessarily known to sit down and like really be seen and hear each other.
But what a great safe space for all the men to be in. And I appreciate that. And when I was jealous when I saw it, I was like, dang, I want to be on, because I've always been with the boys, snowboarding and everything. I'm like, I want to be on that retreat too. But I just went on retreat and I just wanted to hear all of the tools that you use seem like the tools that we could use for seasonal affective disorder as well.
Totally. Like even after, and I'll just let the it was really about the feedback now. It's been almost a month since the retreat, and everybody is entering into the shoulder season. A lot of those guys that attended are from sort of our area or connected to that kind of world or something like that, where we have these very distinct low times of our rhythm. And just to hear their feedback and what they've like, just taking those two, they seemed to be so accessible, and they're so natural to, whether it's a small breathwork practice that you begin to do. It doesn't have to be big, right? It's just simple stuff that if we do it on a repetitive base as a practice, not to like be better, not to like gain some great like but just as a way to work with our nervous system. It provides a tremendous amount of benefit. So listening to everybody as they've gone home and as they get back into their work and all that kind of stuff, everyone has had really good feedback. Like, oh, I'm still doing this and it's producing so much benefits, and looking, like it's just been really cool.
It's awesome. I hope that it keeps going, because it's definitely necessary. I know that I need to keep doing it as well. It's easier said than done all the time. We talk about meditation. I'm like, if I can meditate for 5 minutes, I'm like ecstatic, I'm really proud of myself. Pat on the back. Awesome. So in that conversation, you talked about being active, doing the sports that you love, that you were there when you were there. Kind of, I feel like all those guys that were there probably really enjoyed surfing as well as other sports. So again, like seasonal depression comes with forgetting what your happy is, because Britt, Janik, and I talk about, well, we don't have golf. We don't have golf anymore. Like that was our summer sport. And it's this in between, and it's again, that limbo. So finding something that makes you happy, and finding like learning how to do breath work. I honestly will get deeper into this in another episode with Dylan probably.
Yeah.
And it's just really using that and learning how to breathe properly. I think it's so important.
So important.
So many tools that you have and you shared it. It's so amazing. Will you be doing another retreat for the men?
Yes, we will. we totally are. Like it's now just trying to like, yeah, it's happening. So
For sure.
at the latest, it'll be spring. At the earliest, we'll do one this winter. It's a little tough in the winter, just with location and all that. But yeah, I'd like to have it at every transition of every season.
Oh, you're already ahead of the game. You know what's up. I love it. It's so grateful. So grateful. It's amazing. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's an honor.
Thank you so much for your time. Where can people find you online?
Online, Instagram's probably the best, and that's at Chad Chomlack. That'll point to wherever it needs to go. So, and then there's Soul Atrium is at Soul Atrium. So cool. Actually at soul.atrium is the Instagram, but
that's the retreat, my people. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Chad, for dropping in today. We really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for dropping in. You can find all the dropping in episodes on the Dean Blundell Network or on your preferred podcast network, where you can subscribe and not miss an episode.